This episode of Needed to Hear That is brought to you by Light Source. What do we need when we're in the dark? Sometimes it's simply just a light source. School starts tomorrow. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Jesus. Ashley needs some structure back in her life.
Yeah.
Bedtimes. Routine.
I'm not sure. Do you help with that?
Sometimes
Yeah.
she would argue that not really.
Yeah. Because I feel like you're a bit of a battery kind of guy where like your batteries run out and you just kind of like crash.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
And so
She doesn't have that luxury.
Yeah, whatever routine there would be of like, oh, by 9 o'clock we do this and 9:30 we're completely settled in and going to sleep is kind of like totally tanked if at like 8:15 you're unconscious on the couch.
It's when I take PTO.
Sure. Is that parent time off?
Yeah. And personal time off. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But parent time off probably more appropriate. She doesn't have as many days as I do PTO time.
Seems like it.
Not fair, but I didn't make the rules. I do though.
That one you are. Yeah, like inactivity is a form of that, I guess.
It is. I love how you put that though, because when my hourglass reaches zero.
Yeah, you got like a real Cinderella vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's midnight.
Yeah.
And
it could be at 8.
No turning back.
And then she really likes when he comes in and says, "Can I have till 12:30?" And this is like 8:30. I'm like, "That's fine." And she's like, she can't sleep knowing that he's still up.
Sure.
Eating and drinking.
Walking outside.
And
grabbing a basketball and just
zombied out to Rocket League. He's something else though, so getting back into structure is going to be good for Ashley.
Sure. Which is the
which
person,
is good for me.
The whole reason we're here, I think, is really to find ways to make Ashley's life easier.
Sure.
It's one of my primary goals.
Yeah, it is.
As I sit.
The funny thing is we didn't plan this because the last 2 weeks we were going to talk about what we're talking about tonight, and other things came up.
Yeah.
And we opened with Charlie's behaviors. Actually, we might have opened with my behaviors.
Yeah. It's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah. But you do want to talk about like the importance of play, creativity, and imagination.
Yeah, I've been wanting to, yeah.
And this is appropriate because
maybe in a synchronous way, as much as it's been something on my mind, I did have a day Friday where I did I don't know what I would call it, an event of some kind that involved a lot of like imaginal exercises and
imaginal.
Well, so
are these like brain exercises?
No, so this is probably I'll be like somewhat irritating today probably because it's stuff that I really really like I care
irritating
about.
To who?
I compare to you.
Okay, got
because
it. Fair.
Because like so Friday I hosted an event. A friend of mine that I've talked about in here before, a guy named Felix, who's down in Mexico City.
Yeah, I love Felix.
Yeah, Felix and I did a full day event on the myth of the labyrinth and the Minotaur.
Oh, yeah, that is irritating.
And so
gotcha.
what we did was we had a bunch of people that came out. It was an incredible day, right? I mean, I could talk about it forever. I've been talking about it all weekend.
Was it online training?
Yeah.
Was he in town?
No. He was done. He was still there, and we were on Zoom.
If he's in town, I'm gonna take him to Casa Maria.
Oh yeah, he's unreal. I mean, boy, did he show up, and he told me he'd show up too. Like he was like, I need you to trust me that come the day of, it's gonna be a good day.
All right,
and he shows up.
Got it.
I mean, he kills it, and he's a very well known guy, very well respected guy. He's been in the game a long time, and what we did, the way that we structured the day was we introduced the concept of the labyrinth, or what we would call like the archetype of the labyrinth, and how I view that, which is I have some Buddhist pieces of it that I overlap with, and then we started introducing the actual myth. So Felix he practices this kind of deep storytelling, which is more like oral tradition storytelling, the long form version of a myth. So he makes
Odyssey look short.
Absolutely. He starts out with the story of the bull of Minos. Eventually that leads to the birth of the Minotaur. The Minotaur is eventually cast out into the labyrinth, where he becomes kind of like a twisted monster that is like fed the soldiers, of the losing army, if you will. After a long war, Crete is involved, Minoa is involved, different spaces are involved. It's fine. So he told the long version of that story. It's a very emotional telling. And then what I would do is I would follow that up with what are called these guided imaginations or imaginal exercises that are a very guided kind of visualization. So that's probably what people are most familiar with, is the idea of like a guided visualization. But the reason why we stay with the word like imagination is that in the Jungian world, which I have my toes in the water of pretty frequently, there are very few things more important than image. And our imagination is a very important part, because there's a lot of healing in imagination, because we think in image. Like we imagine things. You sit and you play out exactly what somebody is going to say to you tomorrow when you have a tough conversation, or you play out what you should have said with somebody else. That's imagination. Right? Like and that imagination is very important, because we process it, we work on it, we think about it, we act it out. We'll probably get into all that tonight. And so I would do a guided process where people are going into their own inner labyrinth, feeling the presence of a part of themselves that they have cast out.
Okay.
That part of themselves maybe feels very threatening. By the time they've heard the story of the Minotaur, which is very sad, right? The Minotaur is born as a child and is loved by his mother, but it's his father's embarrassment and shame about him, and his father's hubris about him, where the father eventually decides to have someone build this labyrinth that the child will never be able to get out of. They drag the child into the labyrinth and lock the door, and he can never come out. And so, of course, it's our shadow. It's the parts of ourselves that we decide are embarrassing and that no one else can know about. It's our unconscious. We take those things and we drag them, even though they don't know why they're going. They don't know why they're being locked up, right? The part of us that we cleave off doesn't understand that. And so we did an entire day where we told the story, led people into their own inner labyrinth, and eventually culminated in coming face to face with whatever this inner material is that they have locked in the labyrinth, and then dealing with it, and then coming out. And like any good initiation process like that, where you go through something hard, when they come out, they are welcomed back, right? Everyone celebrates your return from the labyrinth.
It's like when you're getting bag skated,
yeah,
puking in buckets.
Yeah. It was like everybody that has given us feedback about it had a very emotional day, really enjoyed it. A lot of people have said they haven't experienced anything like that. Like
spiritual sweat lodge.
Yeah. We went in there, we got after it. I mean, it was a cool day. And Felix,
think I'd last in a sweat lodge?
You might pass out.
Yeah, I kind of want to try it, but
as long as somebody's making sure you don't die.
Kind of a pussy when that stuff.
I mean, you go in a sauna. I mean, you can like work
do
up
like
to
a sauna,
it.
Yeah,
you can work up to
I like
it.
a good fits.
Yeah,
I like
you work
sauna.
up to it. Yeah, maybe set a timer.
Some of these are pretty intense, I've heard.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's your point. You really,
I mean, it's those are initiations, right?
Yeah,
I mean, those are tough. Yeah. And life has all these initiations, like where we fail with a lot of initiation is we don't welcome people back after they've been through something.
That's not okay. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, we're bad at that, and so that it has included some of that Friday. But
so this was an all day thing.
Yeah, 9 to 4.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people, huh?
We set it up as invite only. You know, like so we had everybody that we asked came.
I bet.
Which was
but
nice.
They're seeking stuff like that.
Yeah, but we were pretty tailored to like people that would already be familiar with.
Were you spent by the end of it?
Yeah, it wore me out.
That seems like yeah,
it wore me out.
I can feel like that. Oh boy!
It wore me out, and I was nervous about it. I was really, I was nervous about it in that like it really, really matters to me. Like I really believe in this stuff. I really, I have a deep connection to this stuff. It's also very, very like abstract and creative, which is something that can be hard to own. Like I have an easier time with other presentations where I can bullet things out.
Right.
This you don't know where it's going.
Sure.
So you're holding. And I think it's both, right? Like Felix he's doing his thing and I'm locked in, right? I really enjoyed listening to storytelling. But then when I'm leading the imaginal exercise, right, he's there too, head down, eyes closed, doing the exercise.
Sure.
Which is holding for me. Like if he were to just turn his camera off, and be gone for 25 minutes because he knows it's my turn, that wouldn't
get a smoke.
It wouldn't kill anything, but it's helpful for me that he's there. So fortunately, we were very complimentary to one another's energy, and it worked really well. And we'll probably do a lot more of it. We ended up working really well together.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is a testament to the fact that just doing a image-focused, storytelling-focused, creative kind of inner work day is very moving for people.
The word that kept sticking out is imagination. Mm-hmm. And as you were talking, I kept thinking, as I was listening, I can do both.
Yeah.
At the same time.
What a gift.
Like, these fucking screens for these kids is really snuffing out imagination. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it surface level that appears to be the give and take, and I'm not trying to go down the rabbit hole. Like, screen time is it's a thing, it's a problem. We all parents, clinicians, everybody that is trying to figure out if there's a sweet spot or how much is too much. And I think they're addicting. It's absolutely addicting. I mean, Meta's getting ready to take it down. Yeah.
Adults are addicted to it.
But, and my kid's top of the list, and I would have been too if I didn't have, NHL on Sega.
Yeah.
But there's something to kids, if they get stuck in a situation now where it has to kind of come naturally, if it's stuck in a waiting room for a long time and their phone dies and they have to sit through the pain of 5 minutes of not having, and then they start creating with imagination, and you might look over and you see these kids just playing and imagining things, which I think used to probably be more common because of the evolution of the screen.
Sure. I think a lot of it too is like you kind of describe a situation there where somebody is using their phone and then it dies. I think a lot of the difficulty too with the access of screen time is that when it's not there, that feels pretty urgent because it's hard to think of a time when it's not there. One of the benefits that you and I would have had is like we knew all the facets of our life where there was not a video game console. We knew everywhere where there was not a television. We knew everywhere where there was not a computer. So we may not have liked those areas as much as other ones, but we knew that there was just like, think about something obvious like a long drive.
Sure.
Like if you, the thought of, even for us adults.
Can you imagine 40 years in the wilderness with Moses? That's what we're talking about lately.
Yeah, a lot of Moses lately. And Moses' screen time, which is in front of it's in front of a bush. But I think like some of it is just kind of imagination fills this gap because it's our inner life, right? These are the images that kind of populate our inner life. Don't worry, I won't spend an incredible amount more time on the imaginal as it comes from a Jungian or an archetypal standpoint.
Okay.
It'll be back.
Thank you,
but it won't be prominent. But I do think that like one of the really, really tough things, it's like anything that we name addictive, is we name something addictive because of its ability to be consuming and the desire that it always be available.
Yeah.
Right. So when you look at things like, I mean, when you talk about like drug addiction or substance addiction, you are looking at somebody who is needing it in their life at all times. And we go, man, that's wild. We even have names like craving and fiending and all these kind of these very like they create, when we say that somebody is like craving, it really creates an image, right? This almost like biblical deadly sin, right? As opposed to just like, no. I mean, it is just like somebody wants it to be available and it's usually available,
craving,
right?
You really added like an action
Yes, it's got a weightiness to it. And I think that with, even something like screen time, where for anybody, I talk to kids and adults that will say, oh, I've been on my phone too much.
Ashley's got a wellness group this round for digital detox.
Yeah. It's very hard.
She keeps saying there's an opening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
you haven't.
No, I've been busy.
Yeah, you don't want to, can't afford it.
Ryan's got some stuff for me to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it has to do with like the way that we humans respond to anything when we are under the impression that it is always available, and then someone tells us that it is not. So I think it sucks for kids because there's a big difference between like we're going into this place and you can't bring your phone. There's a big difference between that and like the phone dies or give me that.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like those two things are very different because, the one that includes this kind of foundational groundwork of, well, this might kind of suck, but you'll be fine, versus this thing that is always available to you. I don't want it to be available to you anymore and it's gone. Right. Those are two very different things. So when a kid like melts down, or when an adult melts down because their phone dies or the Wi-Fi is bad or something like that.
You go to a Chappelle concert and they lock it up. Charlie would have struggled at that Chappelle concert.
Yeah. And so those things, I think they're just kind of different in terms of when I'm talking about using or accessing imagination as like a tool for healing or process or something like that. It's so much more intentional. Mm-hmm. It's so much more like, let's look at the images that are emerging. Let's paint a visual image of something so that we can see what's going on in there and find like some healing source or story. When you think about like, is screen time, for instance, damaging people's ability to be imaginative? The short answer would be no, because we think in image and that's not going anywhere. That's kind of part of a collective experience of being human. The more detailed answer would be like, people are going to be less interested in it if they feel like they can get everything they need in terms of image from outside of them.
Our lives changed when we walked into that computer lab and they had Oregon Trail up on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, you think
I died of dysentery.
You think about video games, right? Video games go for years and years, right? It's been like, oh my God, these are getting so much more and more realistic. And then in a heartbeat, you go to a world where it's like, I don't know if this is real or fake.
Yeah.
With the discussion of AI, which I can't really get into because I'm no expert on AI. You know 1 million times more about AI than I do. But I do know the importance of like resonant images. So when people see an image that really, really moves them, it's going to feel very real. There's going to be a very emotional reaction to it. That's why so many people look at things that maybe aren't kind of quote unquote real and get very swept up in them, because images are in our bones.
Like
stories in our bones. Yeah. I mean, these things are, it's in our, as Felix would say, right? Like these stories live in the marrow of our bones, right? Like this is.
God, it can't get any more like internal than I love that.
Yeah.
It's
it's
inside
in us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always been that way. Like we've been, sitting around a campfire telling stories as long as we've had campfires. And so.
Well, let me ask you this too. Like, because we're talking, not everybody can articulate and tell this story, but everybody can. I mean, everybody's got these images.
Yeah.
Like there's more gifted storytellers around the campfire than
Sure.
others.
Sure.
But all of us, like have this imagery going on. Whether you're able to articulate it for a crowd or not is not the point.
And the argument from like an image or an imagination point of view would also be that like there's a collective aspect to it. We all have all these images, right?
Yeah.
That's why mythology is such an intriguing thing, or storytelling is such an intriguing thing, is because when you get into these stories, myths are not fake, right? They're not like fake stories. They're not bedtime stories. They are the ways that people told the story of what it's like to be a human and to be on this planet, right? That's what they're for. You know, one of the funny things that Felix said on Friday was a reminder that the Greeks guessed they were able to calculate the circumference of the Earth within like 120 kilometers. And these are the stories they told. So clearly these are not the dumb musings of an old culture, right? Like there was some pretty advanced cultural things happening.
That's funny.
And these stories are how they made sense of what it was like to be a human, right? And so that is one of the tough things, I think, even when you bring social media or content into the discussion, is like people are being very moved by image, and they can't really tell that movement from whether or not it's objective reality, which is a very strange experience. That's unsettling, right? That makes things more complicated. And so if you watch an AI video, and it is very moving, right? Whether it be angering or frustrating or sad or, you know, whatever it is, you're reckoning with the fact that image is moving you. There's some kind of story there that's moving you, which is what moves humans, right? But the difficulty is when we take these things and we're like, that's fact. I watched this video and that's fact, and somebody better fix that situation or do something, or can you believe that happened? We're no longer using the image to understand what it's like to be a human. Right. We're using it as a cudgel against somebody else. And that's the same thing that happens with religion, right? Like, or, you know, that's why here, when I say myth, people think I mean like a funny fake story, because these things have been tucked away as like playful and silly, when they're like, they contain the story of what it's like to be a human. You may listen to a Greek myth or hear it or read it and be like, that's weird. I can't believe that happened. Who would make this? And it's like, well, hold on. You're telling me that you have never found a creative way to manipulate a situation to get something that you knew you shouldn't have. So if in the story a lot of weird stuff happens, you're like, well, I can't believe that. It's like, yeah, that's not the point. The point is like, you have done a version of that. And we use stories to help make sense of those things. We use creativity to help make sense of the drinking from a fire hose that is being a human being.
Tell me about it. They asked me today, how many jobs do you have? I stopped counting at 5. That didn't include husband or son, or father.
Yeah. I mean, it's that you have jobs the way that people ask me how many tattoos I have. And, you know,
I got some work for Amanda.
The answer is 1.
I have a list. Yeah, there you go. Right. I have a list.
She would love it. She was there on Friday.
Oh.
Yeah, she attended.
God. I thought we were going to talk about like PCIT, the Play Child Interactive Therapy.
We can do that too.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
And I was a naysayer.
Yeah.
They took me. We talked about this with Michelle Charbonnier on Pontiffs Anonymous before this, and you met Michelle. Also got beautiful tattoos.
Yeah, great sleeve.
Clinician, she was talking about adolescence, and somehow I brought up PCIT and the incident where I laughed at Ashley and the clinician. This won't work. When they were explaining it to me and coaching me on how to say direct commands and indirect commands, and you know how to stay calm and say, you know, Charlie, if you do not put the block back in the basket, you will have to sit on the timeout chair. And that was to 4-year-old Charlie. That's like the command you give. And I went in there, and they sat behind a two-way mirror, or where they could one-way mirror.
Yeah.
And they put a headset on me, and Charlie, very early into the PCIT process, was having a tantrum, and they were coaching me, or she was, to just actively ignore. This is where you turn your back, actively ignore, don't give the behavior attention. And the next thing I know, kabang, block right off the noggin.
Nice.
He started just chucking these wooden blocks right at my fucking head. And all I hear through my piece of the earpiece is cackling and behind the mirror. They're both hysterically laughing as I'm saying, "Shucky darns." Charlie's, don't overreact when Charlie hits me right in between the eyes with a wooden block as hard as he can. I kept it together. And to this day, he's 12. If we say, if you do not, it'll just robotically stop him in his tracks. It is incredible how, I don't know if it's calming or what it does, this play therapy.
Yeah.
Lets kids, and you reiterate, that was the beginning, but the meat on the bones is like when you set a special amount of time, 15 minutes, and you play something they want to do, and you comment on their play. Like, I liked how you drew that square on that piece of paper, and there's really strict language you use. And somehow it's saved our lives. So now I should be a commissioned salesman for that shit, because I tell everybody to do it.
Yeah, people are doing it. So
but play therapy,
I don't know if they need marketing, but
and imagination is stuff that you guys fucking use on kids all day long.
Well, play therapy is great. There's also something too where it's like I've done. Like, and I know a bunch of people that do like sand tray stuff,
You're
like,
going to have to explain that.
Like just being in a like sandbox kind of play, toys and stuff like that. And there are adult versions of that. Make no bones about it. The Sand Play by Dora Kolf's great book.
Sounds like the owner of the San Francisco 49ers was in an adult version
there,
of that.
He was not. It was not good.
Oh, boy.
Not good.
Talk about that off air.
Play therapy. I mean, so a term that is very frequently speaking of used as a cudgel, is the idea of acting out. You hear a lot of like that kid's acting out. They're acting out.
They still say that about me.
Yeah. And you do act out. And but you got to remember the concept of acting out is this idea of I don't have the words for this, so I'm going to have to act it out.
Like when on the way to Table Rock when they didn't get my Diet Coke. Filled up.
You acted out.
I acted out.
You were not using language.
No.
The difference between, let's say, you and a kid in play therapy is we have a lot of faith that you do have the words.
Okay.
And so it doesn't mean that from a nervous system point of view or a dysregulation point of view that you have access to them right there. I want to give you that I want to give you that compassion. But
appreciate that.
there is something to just that language of like we talk about acting out a lot of times as this label, right? Like, oh my gosh, this person's acting out. We forget that it's like, okay, well, so what are they acting out? What is it that they don't have the words for or don't have access to the words for? So since they can't tell us, they have to show us, right? And unfortunately, we get dysregulated too with kids that are tantruming, and so we don't.
That's why those duo dogs, duo dogs are so great.
Yeah, they don't get upset.
They just sit there and love you.
Yeah, they don't get upset.
They listen,
and it takes $60,000 of training for them to not get upset.
Right,
so give yourself some credit.
Sure.
Like nobody was paying you to get hit with a block.
Oh no shit.
But play is it's such an interesting thing because we learn so much in play, right? Like when we're kids, right? We play. That's how we're learning, right? Like we're learning so much in play. What happens when little kids play? They're making up rules.
Oh yeah.
They're like we all did it. We all played some kind of game that we started from scratch with people that did not exist in any other. It was not logged anywhere for us. Nobody gave us the rules to it. And that's how kids learn. You play because play is safe, right? Like if you can play, that means nobody's threatening you, right?
Yeah.
Like, play is this very safe way that we learn. And then suddenly we decide, put away childish things. Right? Like there's just a line where it's like this is you're no longer a baby. You cannot want toys, you cannot want to play, you cannot goof off. You know, like we just like totally lock away play.
Boarding school.
Yeah, and it's a bummer because we do need it. We do need a space to just be learning some new rules, figuring some things out without the gravitas of losing a job, losing a career.
Well,
you know,
it's
like
funny you say
as
that.
adults, we need it too. Like kids, it helps. I love play therapy. You know, part of why at Light Source, like we don't work with younger kids. I mean, I worked with younger kids for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, for years and years. And part of why we don't do it anymore is because we kind of made the decision that we wouldn't have the resources for play. You know, so the kind of like the rule for Light Source was like it was just going to have to be people that can actually come and process, because we weren't going to have a playroom or games or anything that would be helpful for.
You might be able to resonate to this. I asked Michelle. I said, "Do you see adolescents?" She's like, "I have." She's like, "I don't particularly anymore." She goes, "It's not because I don't like adolescents, because I can't stand their parents." And I thought about a couple stories. I shared a generic story about parents, and it happens in coaching. But yeah, like I've heard some stories about parents being very difficult for.
Yeah, it can be tough.
And I think that was her. She's like, I can't. Poor kids. But I was thinking about, I've been a part of some in college even. I'm thinking about a group I was in. We were doing a project together, and one of the girls in there, I think she was crushing on me, but would always tell me
the one that got away.
Yeah. She would always say, "You're always playing." Because I was always fucking off.
Sure.
You're just always playing. Can't you take anything serious? But I'm thinking about that, and at some point, kids like me, and maybe even probably my son, they take away, to your point, all this play, and now it's time to take out recess and only do reading, writing, arithmetic, and stuff like. So then, if they take it, kids, we're gonna fuck around.
Yeah,
we're gonna play.
Yeah.
When if you tell us
all work and no play,
I mean, we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
We're gonna sneak it in there.
Yeah.
And we're gonna always be playing. Well, no, you always not be letting me play.
Yeah, it's the same with adults, right? Like I know it's kind of a weird stance to take, but like you, as an adult, you need spaces to be playful, to be imaginal, to like I mean, I'm using Friday as an example. That it wasn't particularly playful. It carried a lot of weight to it because people were doing a lot of inner work. But we're using image and we're using story, and everybody ends up with like a different view of what the Minotaur looks like. Some people's Minotaur was a little baby. Some of them were scary.
If everybody drew one, it'd be not one
totally
would look the
different.
same.
And I think play, like the other aspect of play that I would mention in adulthood too. I mean, you play a lot of golf.
Amen. Love it even.
Saturday, use this Saturday as an example. Saturday morning, I got up and I went out to. I will give them credit. This is an open track at Ladue High School.
Oh, you were in Ladue?
Their football. So my buddy, who's a PT that I had lifted with and I know from Strongman, him and I do a lot of training together. He always helps me with a lot of my training. He was. I've done track workouts out there with him.
Jackson Burkett, Ladue Ram.
Oh yeah.
But he always makes sure he tells people he's from Olivet.
It's a nice field, as you would imagine. So my buddy was. They had a throwing event there. He was throwing hammer that day. They were doing hammer, discus, javelin, and
I got to get this in as you're talking about high school. Those East St. Louis Flyers crushed like the number one team in the state on Saturday.
It's a program.
Yeah, and I was reading the article. It's like. Florida commit wide receiver for East St. Louis had 3 touchdowns. Auburn commit running back. Those Flyers are going to do some damage again this year.
It's wild. It's a wild program.
But yeah, so you went out to Ladue.
So we went out there. He was going to throw. He was throwing hammer, and he's a guy that he's a few years older than me. Came up, always been an athlete. He did his pole vault in college, track and field guy. Olympic lifter. Eventually, he's done a lot of strongman, powerlifting, done a little bit of everything. I admire him a lot. He's a good friend of mine. We have a very similar view of training. I like to just like try new stuff, get, something intrigues me. I try to get better at it. And so I did a workout while he was warming up on the track. I was doing sprints and jumps and bounds and different stuff like that. And then afterward, we went back to his gym and I did a bunch of single leg stuff and drops and push-up drops and stuff that he knows as like a PT. I loved it. It's probably 4 hours of training, which is not unusual for me, especially with all the years of strongman. We would always do 4.5 hours would be your event day. All of that, everything I did on Saturday was in the service of the fact that, and I'm saying this in the name of play, I am actively trying to drop a second off my 40. Like, who cares? Right? Like, it is an absolutely nothing goal. It is for nothing, but it feels like play. I like running as hard as I can. I like lifting. I've been competitive for a very long time, and enjoyed it, and still like lifting. And
I think you were fucked up if you didn't like this stuff. You do it a lot.
Yeah, but it's like in my mind, it becomes a lot of it's my access to a lot of play. It's my access to a lot. Like, I mean, I'm trying to get better at it, right? Like that's why I'm with
like an adult playground.
Yeah, my buddy who's a PT is like changing very small things, and I'm doing one of the things we were doing like so kind of like a split squat, so in like a lunge position, one leg forward, one leg back, jumping from that position, just like squatting down a little bit with your legs split like that and trying to jump.
Oh God, I
tell you right now,
my groin muscle thinking of that.
I tell you right now, I would shit if you could have got a credit card under my front foot the first time I tried it. I'm just like, he's like, and God bless him.
You didn't get much height.
He's so patient with like, well, hold on. You got to fire that left elbow back as you come up. And I'm just like, okay. And then it's just like nothing. And then it's like, there's probably a point where I did a rep, and if you were watching, you wouldn't have known.
Oh my God.
I mean, like I'm like trying. I look like a cat that doesn't know if it can jump up on the thing, right? I'm like moving a little bit, but not committing, and all of that. Like I just kind of set the goal in all of this that I don't know. I want to take a second off my 40.
Just add a little competitive,
like, have something to do, and it's, it's fun and it is playful, and I am not going to test it anywhere, and I'm not, I have no need for it anything other than a goal, and I believe in play. I mean, strongman is a tough sport. I mean, it's
lifting heavy.
Yeah,
shit.
it's heavy. We have certain events in strongman that we refer to as central nervous system resets. Like, it's not even very good for you, right? Like, I can't, but I loved it. I enjoy it. I did it for a very long time, all in the name of like, I was around guys and we were playing, right? Like you'd find some odd event or some new lift, and you're trying to solve it. You're getting together like and the first guy to get it it's going to be a highlight of his day, because nobody else could figure it out. We'd have 55-gallon drums filled a quarter of the way with water that we're trying to load onto a platform, and you're trying to figure out how to get one hand on one end and get it into your lap, and how you're going to load it up. And I was probably going to get that one because I had the longest arms, but
my back and groin hurt thinking.
Well, it's like, I don't tell any of those stories because I think that like, everyone come join me and let's take a second off our collective 40 time. I mean, more like, think of some things that are playful and that you could invest in and enjoy, and like, I mean, what I think can be really, really tough is when we talk about when we talk about escapism, right, we're only talking about the absence of something and not the presence of something, right? We're not talking about a thing that really kind of catches us and gets this play going and gets camaraderie going and gets, those things are important to us, right? That playfulness, I think, is really important, and it's really hard. I would say in a lot of ways, it's probably, especially for a lot of us guys that are like pseudo stoic, not emotional, not affected, not bothered by anything, no weakness, no vulnerability.
Alpha.
Yeah, like
you fucking love alphas.
We do all of that, and it just becomes like the absence of something like play. And then the only time that we let ourselves do anything playful, a lot of people have to be messed up to do it. They got to drink all day to do it. They got to, and I'm not judging anybody that drinks, and I don't want you to be a problem drinker. I don't want you doing no damage, but like adults drink. But I think like it gets really, really tough to build in the permission structure that we need to just go be playful.
I'm getting sad at myself. I haven't. You're saying all this, and you had started kind of the conversation asking about golf, and really, I haven't played a lot of golf this summer or spring, and I'm not like it. Throw me a pity party, but I'm not doing anything like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm okay. My life is good. It goes back to the irons in the fire that Jill wants to talk about always, and we're not gonna.
Great.
Okay, Patrice.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if Jill has a free Monday night at 7.
She's busy. Yeah, so I got to look inward on that.
I mean, it's something where
I'm not doing much, man.
Well,
in the play area,
we're all kind of stricken with that, like it's kind of an interesting thing. Holly and I had a conversation not too long ago about her playing mahjong, right? Which she's playing right now. Right.
I got a mahjong in my pants.
There it is. We got to get that one out of the way. It's compulsory. It's like the 2:30 joke. It's what time you go to a dentist. And so we're talking about it.
She's playing mahjong right now?
Yeah. And we were talking about it through the lens of like initially like the calling it silly, which I did, like what we were talking about is like, why can't you call mahjong a very meaningful part of your week? Why can't like this game that you're learning, that you really, really like, that you really, really enjoy, that people around you are making new friends and they're enjoying it, and they're doing door prizes because the friend that hosts it is like a great hostess who's just like very good at this stuff. Like, the fact that we take something like that and our inclination is to call it so much less important than even like a sport that we might do as a hobby or something like that, rather than just being like, well, no, how is the thing that is you being playful, that is you being with people you enjoy, is you learning something, right? It's not an easy game. Checkers, it is not. Yeah. And again, if you told me that once a week you just sit down with an old buddy of yours and play checkers for an hour,
sure,
that sounds amazing, right?
I picture the old guys in Brooklyn just sitting outside the lawn chairs.
I mean, I think about any of the stuff where it's like, I mean, you think about big things that have had big spikes in the last few years, right? You think about like adults playing dodgeball and pickleball and stuff like that, where it's like it can be competitive, right? I mean, we all have a competitive edge, and we've all been around people that probably go, they turn a 4 out of 10 into a 9 out of 10, right? Like, we've all been around them. And if you haven't been around them, you are them. But
newsflash.
But I think that
that's funny.
The first thing we do is we start to kind of downgrade something that actually provides this kind of structure for us to sort things out, which is what play does.
Yeah.
Right. Initially, when we're kids, we sort things out in play. We're sorting out relationships. We got different dolls and action figures, and they're fighting, or they're together, or they're saving the world, or they're ending the world, or, we're learning all this stuff on the fly as kids, and we do it in play because play is supposed to be indicative of a space that it is held for you to not have any other responsibilities than go play.
Ashley's learning mahjong.
Yeah.
Literally.
No, not the one. Yeah, not the one in your pants. I know. Yeah.
But she's not. I just want Holly to know she's not making new friends.
There isn't anybody. I have years of a front row seat to this now. There isn't anybody that seems to be more like immediately beloved as a friend welcomed into the circle than Holly. Like it's fascinating that just everywhere she goes, she's like, I have new tennis friends.
Right.
I have new mahjong friends. I have, and then I'm just like, wow, I don't know if you've noticed that everyone seems to take to you. Everyone. And again, it's because she doesn't carry a lot of pretense. She's not a judgmental presence. She's a positive presence.
Truly.
She remembers all the little things. She asks all the questions.
Can see her because she's so skinny.
She's skinny. Yeah.
You can barely
Just
notice
skinny.
her sometimes when she's sitting at the table.
Yeah. Doesn't take up a lot of space.
She surely won't eat much if you have food out.
No appetizers in mahjong. No.
I may try to learn it one day, but you're not a big game player. But you like to play, but you don't. But game night's not your night.
That's not really my thing.
ideal
Speaking
night.
of choose your own play.
Sure, you would rather lift and throw heavy shit.
I'm not asking anybody else to run 40s with me.
No.
So don't ask me to play categories.
Sorry, you're gonna come and you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be at music bingo.
I like music bingo. I will do that one.
Music bingo's fun.
Yeah, I will do that.
No matter
one.
who the company's.
Yeah.
That's some challenges over the
short
years.
list, but
we got a couple coming up.
Good.
A couple music bingos. We have some fun guests coming to Underground in the next couple of weeks. One of them being Scott Spezio from the Cardinals.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of a guy who played hard.
Yeah.
That whole 2006 team played pretty hard.
Yeah.
From stories he shared, but yeah, I think I got to look inward on this one because I am okay. I'm happy, but I'm overworked.
Sure.
From just taking on a little bit too much, and I haven't made much time for what we've been talking about tonight.
Yeah. Well, I do think that
I'd like to play with Ashley a lot more, but she's different. Like you like, but she likes game night and
right.
throwing heavy things. To each their own.
Yeah. Well, I just think like we just make sense of so many things by having these opportunities to just be. Well, to just be, right? To maybe be learning something, to maybe be getting better at something, but without all of the, I mean, even if you take people who are maybe in treatment, right? Like one of the first things,
something fell off the wall. I'll talk to Kurt about that.
One of the first things that happens, I think, when people start to feel a little bit better is you see a little bit of a rebirth into playfulness. When somebody starts joking around a little bit, or when somebody starts to emerge a little bit, or somebody starts playing cards a little bit, or, like you start to see a little bit of that because it is so human. It's very communal, right? Like I do a significant amount of my training alone, but I still talk to Tom, my buddy who's a PT, and we talk on the phone. I said a couple weeks ago on here, I got a couple of text threads that are just workouts.
Right. Yeah.
Just, I remember. There isn't anybody in that is like prepping for,
right.
Camp.
They're not going,
right.
Going back to the show.
Yeah. Like, and not thinking that way. Right. It's not even diluted. It's just like, this is this kind of, it's very important. Right. I mean, I've been somebody that, for whatever reason, works out and trains since I was like 19, and clearly it's not because I'm like all jacked and tan, right? Like I mean, it's not aesthetic in any way.
You look great.
I appreciate
Just
it.
So you know.
But I
think
just
of
enjoy it.
like I love the World War II movies, Band of Brothers, and all that. And there's so many scenes in Saving Private Ryan where the guys are sitting around and just dealing cards, playing like in scenes of like them talking and they've come from a big battle or whatever and seen whatever, name that horrific, what humans aren't supposed to witness, and the worst of the worst of what we can do to one another, and then they sit around and they start playing cards together, and it becomes a lot more in that setting. But you see that scene a lot in those type of war films. You talked about playing cards earlier, and it doesn't always have to be for money.
No,
right?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's that it's very, a lot of these activities are just like, they're very grounding. Right? Like I mean, I played cards with my grandma.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, you and me both.
And when you think about that, right? Like it has a lot to do with the fact that it's an awful lot to expect a person to just like a child to just sit there.
Sit there and shut up.
And just like talk to grandma. Even though like I loved my grandma, I don't have bad memories of my grandma, and it's that she's not ruling with an iron fist. Yeah, but it's that expectation of like, oh, why don't we introduce something playful into this and see where it goes? That's an awful lot of play therapy too, right? It's not, you're not sitting there just like observing to see the exact things going on and to name it and interpret it.
My grandma had a sliding glass doors that went from the living room to her bar, and in the sliding glass doors, she had a wooden stick to lock it.
Yeah.
Because the garage, somebody could have broken. She's very paranoid. So I would take that wooden stick as a kid, apparently, and it's just a wooden, like rounded knob on each end, and it would be my hockey stick, and I'd win the Stanley Cup. In the hallway and the space behind in her bedroom, wherever I was shoot off to when she was watching her stories, I would take that broom. It looked like a broom handle.
Sure.
Broomstick's probably what it's called. And I'd be playing at the old barn winning the Stanley Cup and imagining all this shit and playing with just that in hand in my brain.
We made some weird shift. I don't have any historical background as to when we would have done this, but there's something to this idea that it's a better idea to bludgeon a child with reality than it is to allow them to be creative and imaginal. And what I mean by that is like, the way that we expect kids to like specialize early. To the way that like, if you probably need to have, if you're good at a sport, you need to choose that sport by 10 or 11.
Even Wayne says that's wrong.
Yeah. Well, and because Wayne Gretzky played a million sports,
right?
I mean, he pivoted around all the time, but it's just like in general, though, we kind of, if a kid starts doing something that is creative or imaginal, we immediately do this internal math of like, are you really going to be able to do that meaningfully as an adult? Right. Yeah. And it's just like, there couldn't be a worse filter to run something through than you love to paint, but you ain't going to be no artist. Right. Like what an awful bottleneck.
Is that what you're going to do with your life?
Yeah. To put something in there, a friend of mine who has been able to be an artist for a living, I remember told me the story that in early adolescence, somebody said, you can't be an artist because you're going to starve. And they said, then I'll starve.
Good for that person.
Like it's that like that weird thing where it's like, I totally understand if you got a 17-year-old kid on your hands and that kid's going to cap out at 5'7" and he says, I can't give up my dream of being an NFL quarterback. I understand that that's like that's a tough position as a mentor,
Sure,
or a parental figure.
there's
right?
only one
Like,
Doug Flutie.
yeah, like, I mean, I understand that that's like really tough, but if your only examples here are wild outliers of like, well, what if a kid's 5'8" and he still wants to be in the NBA? Okay, that's not happening.
Right.
That's not meaningfully happening. Don't give me an example of like two people. Like don't give me like 0.001% of the population is
It
like
happens a lot online.
poking and it's that's why I'm not on social
men and
media, I
women's
guess.
sports.
Yeah.
Because that happens.
Gosh. Breaks my heart. But I think like we run that filter so quickly. I even think about like, we've talked on here a lot about playing hockey. When I played hockey, I'm very lucky that I got to play hockey. Yeah. I'm very lucky I've gotten to do anything, right? Like I'm also talking about running 40s on a track. I know a lot of people can't run hard.
You're
right. I'm just grateful, right? Like I understand that there's a lot of stuff I'm talking about that a lot of people aren't able to do, don't have access to. Like that breaks my heart for people. So I'm very grateful of the things I've been able to do. Hockey would be one of them. Mm-hmm. Right. And yet when I was first playing hockey as a little kid, like I had relatives, I would say something like, I wanted to talk about hockey, and I'm not playing like on the ice yet. This is like little
street hockey, the plastic Coopers.
I got Mylec pads on and bruises over every square inch of my body. And
stopping a puck.
Yeah. It's like, every one of those, man, it didn't go in. The rebound probably did. Well. But, and I so badly wanted to talk about it, right? I was falling in love with it. Uh-huh. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm picturing that these big saves matter, and I'm watching people on TV do the same thing, and I'm falling in love with it. And the most likely answer that I got if I said that I was playing hockey and I was a goalie was the most common answer I got was, "Is that because you take up the whole net?"
Oh fuck. God, Chaz.
It's such a wild, the feedback that I got about something that I was falling in love with was only feedback about how that's a stupid thing for me. Right? There is absolutely no benefit to telling 9-year-old me that I'm too fat to be good at something, right? Like that does not benefit me in any
Praise
way.
Jesus.
Right? Like the good
news is that didn't affect you for your entire life.
Right. But also like the thought, even me now as a middle-aged person, right? Like if somebody were to say, well, you shouldn't be running a 40 because you're too fat to be running a 40. Yeah, I know. Right? Like I know. Like I'm aware of the fact that there was a guy that I watched on YouTube for a while. He's a runner and a big body. And he was also a lifter, probably about a 260 pound guy. And he would talk about how, and he's been running forever. Right? He organizes races, volunteers at races, has run 100-mile races, marathons, ultra marathons, competed in strongman, powerlifting. It's clearly something he's done his whole life. And I would watch videos where he would say, and he seemed like a sweet guy, kind of a normal guy. And nobody watched it. It just like ended up in, I ended up watching some of his videos. So he's not like a ton of followers or anything, not like an influencer of any kind. And I remember him saying like, hey guys, I've been working on my speed a lot, and some of you guys have been giving me some tips, and I just want to let you know that I am aware that if I could move faster if I was at a lower body weight. Like, it broke my heart. He had a video I saw where he said that he didn't have as much footage from his runs that week because it was so hot. I think he was in Texas at the time. It was so hot he took his shirt off early in the run. And I remember him saying, I saw the video and I just feel like I look disgusting. And it just breaks my heart, right? Because it's like here you just have somebody who just moves, right? He ain't setting no records. He's not claiming to set any records. He's playing. Watch my journey to the Olympics. He's doing something that is play, right? He's doing something he enjoys. He's doing something that seems to feel good for him. I have no reason to believe it doesn't. And the feedback he gets is like, you're not going to be good at that if you don't lose weight. And then he internalizes that as I can't show this material. I think I look disgusting, right? And so like this is why we can't be playful, right? Because God forbid you not be perfect, right? Like, God forbid you not have the perfect technique in doing the thing you like doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
It's a good thing you told me, so I didn't
seen
know that.
I've seen videos of myself running, right? Like, nobody was like, "Is that Carl Lewis?" Like, I'm aware of that, but
Maybe if you're singing the national anthem.
right, but the thought of like the world chomping at the bit to tell me I'm not Carl Lewis, that hurts so much. Right? Like, it breaks my heart. And I think that with like play in general, we get with like, we think about kids and we think about like finding your way as a kid and enjoying something and finding something that you really identify with, right? Like, it doesn't have to be, clearly you and I use sports as an example because we played sports, but it could be anything, right? Like, it could be anything that you're really falling in love with. It could be, you got a kid. I can't tell you how many kids I've seen in 20 years of being a therapist that come in and show me that they're trying to learn how to draw anime characters. And
my sister's picked up drawing.
It doesn't mean that they are, they may not show me that same sketchbook in a year, right? But all I want for that kid is for people to be interested. And if that kid isn't interested in drawing those characters anymore in 8 months, who cares? Right? If that kid's drawn for 30 days and automatically we're going to start asking about how are you going to turn that into profit, right? Like,
put that on an Excel
how
spreadsheet.
does this transition from your playful engagement in wanting to learn something to a meaningful skill, right? So we learn very early that there's no room for play unless you can pivot it to serious.
I think about all the times. Thanks for filling the gap here. When Charlie asked you to come watch him play the video game.
Oh, sure.
I watched him play Rocket League.
Yeah. Rocket League's kind of hard.
We hooked up this thing I got 2 Christmases ago that's got like all the games, SNES, Sega, arcade. And
speaking of hard games,
we played some NBA 98. And my boy Reggie Miller don't miss.
Oh, sure.
So I put about 30 on him, but I shouldn't have talked as much shit. Probably beating him in my system, because if I went up to NBA 2K on his game, I would have been a bloodbath.
You'd be in real trouble.
But you always go up and watch him, and he wants you to come watch him play. He loves to have you watch, and
it's great.
So thanks for filling the gap.
Yeah, it's great. It's just there is it bums me out because like we're bridging this gap in this conversation, right? Between like,
I just make sure he's not playing with a pedophile. That's what I'm saying.
You do that. You do ask, which I don't know how much that really gets in the way of that potentiality, but you do ask. Hey, are you talking to someone that could be dangerous?
I'm a present parent.
Yeah, and so
I'm monitored.
Yeah, you're keeping an eye on it. You're in the tech industry. I'm sure you know something. But yeah, I really do. This is how that transition happens. This is how you end up on a golf course with somebody who has to do better, has to play better, has to be getting better, has to be winning, right? Because we learn really early on that if you can't transition what you're doing into something serious, you shouldn't do it. And that sucks. Like,
bottom line, man,
that sucks. I think about, I talk about being, falling in love with hockey as a kid, where it's like, trust me, I did not have any shortage of people reminding me I was too fat to be a goalie. So if for whatever reason that feedback would have been meaningful guidance, it would have landed before I stopped.
Sure.
But a lot of that is just like, we love this idea that if we can poke a hole in somebody's enjoyment, right, that we are realists, right? That we're just like, we shoot straight. We tell it like it is, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's not really telling it like it is. Like telling me that I didn't have a lot of NHL potential is not really like a hot take, right? Like I'm not, it's not,
I'll just be really direct.
Yeah, like that's not a really it's not a very interesting take either, but we do that with so many creative outlets, right? Somebody shows a passing interest in something and we immediately start to talk to them about like, what are you going to do with it? right? Like, how are you going to improve at it? How are you going to show the discipline to get better at it? And that's fine in some contexts, right? Because a lot of people are going to stick with something because of their discipline, interest, and improvement, right? Like,
Sure.
if, if the first time a kid picks up a baseball bat, he smokes a line drive, that kid's likely to play. I think about, I've mentioned Steve Magnus on here before that wrote Do Hard Things. He talks about how when he was a kid, he was like 10 and he like runs the mile and he smokes everybody, right? He has this incredible mile as like a 10-year-old. And then like he kept running because he was good at it.
Right.
Like, he loved it. And he talks about how now, I have no idea what his mile time was.
Sure.
But that now, if he ran that same mile, he would barely get home from school that day without knowing that there are millions of other 10-year-olds that are faster than him. Right? Like, instead of going home and just like being excited because he kind of likes running and turns out he's kind of good at it, he would be told that he's not actually that good, that his numbers are not actually that impressive. And if you're already at that low of a level, what are you doing it for? Who cares? Right. And it's not like, oh, we're destroying Olympians. It's no, that means like we learn that we're not allowed to do something unless we can show the gravitas of it, unless we can show how we're transitioning it into a skill. And it means that we don't develop this kind of just general playfulness, which means we could be with other people. We can have fun with other people. We can do low stakes things that we all just kind of enjoy. And maybe we do get better at. Maybe you do get better at mahjong.
I always have consistently described my Little League baseball team that was gave the Bad News Bears a run for their money. Tom was a coach. We were horrible. I was not that great as a second baseman. I was a bad hitter, but I could field a few ground balls. Second baseman, coach's kid, play second base usually, but sure. I was decent second baseman. Hockey was always I loved it. I ate, breathed it. It was a job. I loved it. That baseball, those summer baseball teams were so fun. Mm-hmm. We loved it. We didn't take it too serious. Tom would always say winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. Knowing that we were going to go about 0-16 a year.
Short gamed.
Was the District D champions one year and actually got that title nixed because Tom gave the president of Corey League an 18-pack to let Jason Carrera play on our team.
Sure.
And he was ineligible.
Sure.
And the team we beat to get to the finals was a team from his hometown.
It's a unique form of corruption.
Sure. But he wanted to pick us up our spirits. But it was such a fun. It was always fun for me.
Yeah.
Little League baseball was fun because I did not take it serious at all. I was a hockey player.
Yeah.
But so everything you're saying tracks. It was not by design, but hockey was a job. Had a lot of those coaches, some that I know that you had. Mm-hmm. That like to tell you how big of a piece of shit you were.
Yeah. Well,
in efforts to motivate.
Yeah, it worked.
Some of us.
I appreciate the motivation. Being somebody that didn't miss practice,
Sure, right.
I really needed the extra discipline.
Yeah. Like I would be on the ice early if I could. I wouldn't leave unless Maryland kicked me out.
Yeah. Well, there's even things we talk so much on here about like religion and spirituality, which inherently is serious, right? Like it's serious, right. And I don't disagree with that, but there's something about I've talked about Taoism and a lot of like Eastern philosophy includes a lot of playfulness, right? Because we think of like the Zen. You think about like the guy that's teaching the guy kung fu, right? And he's like messing with him, right? Like it's always some form of like you can't hit him, and he's laughing at you, and he's goofing around, and there's like this this playfulness to it that is because the kung fu master has like released the effort to control, right? Like he's no longer interested in aggression, so he can just allow things come to him and move naturally. But I've mentioned on here I really like the book Tao of Pooh about Taoism and Winnie the Pooh by a guy named Benjamin Hoff, and they talk about how there's a famous not even famous painting, because you would see it as a print even in restaurants and stuff like that, where it's
new.
Yeah, it looks great.
From the Goodfellas.
Yeah. I love all the new art. We'll get Mr. Rogers up.
You got it.
Yeah. There's
one dog's looking east, the other one's looking west.
There's this painting where you have Confucius and the Buddha and Lao Tzu, who wrote the Tao Te Ching, which is the book on Taoism. Tao Te Ching is spelled Taoteching.
Don't ask me to spell.
Yeah, but it looks like Tao Te Ching is why it's confusing. Yeah, but
Tao's teaching.
Yeah, but it's the Tao Te Ching. So in this painting, they're all sitting around like a bowl of like stew, like a pot or a cauldron of stew, and hopefully I'll remember this right. Confucius does not have a happy look on his face, which he really doesn't, and he looks kind of like unhappy, and it represents that like Confucius wouldn't believe that this was respectful enough of the old ways, because Confucianism really was focused on ancestral respect and tradition, and so he's kind of scowling at this because it does not represent the right way to make this stew. And the Buddha is particularly kind of aloof and disinterested because he realizes that there's no reason to be attached to this stew, to like this or to enjoy it, because if you attach to it, it'll go away and it'll be impermanent.
Amen.
And Lao Tzu has a big smile on his face and a big spoon in his hand because he realizes that that's all bullshit and this is heaven on earth. And the Taoists are playful in that way, in this thought of like, no, you guys are tricking yourself thinking it's something else. It's just this. And it's just so he's the only happy one in the bunch. And so that's why the introduction of Taoism really to the West was Benjamin Hoff's book, The Tao of Pooh, because he's talking about how like Winnie the Pooh gets it, right? Like he's playing. He's having fun. He's not super upset with his friends, even when they're annoying. And his friends get anxious, and his friends get down, and his friends get depressed, and his friends get angry. And he's like, oh, that's Owl. You know how he is. That's Piglet. You know how he is. And we're still going to go hang out today. We're still going to have an adventure today, right? Like, and that kind of, it's funny that, we look at that as too childish.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh is baby stuff,
shit, yeah.
We look at it that way, and then it's like, well, no, it kind of traces back to thousands of year old religion that just reminded that like, you can play, you can goof around.
Imagery explaining the human experience.
Yeah. And so I just think like we need to play. We need to imagine. It's not baby shit. Like we can be moved by images. We think in images. We find play, and we end up having a great night. And like all of these things, we have to be able to get to them. And I feel bad that we've all kind of grown up in a world where if you can't show me how you're going to make this thing that you're doing useful and meaningful and productive and profitable, it's a waste.
I'm going to go home and play with Ash.
And I think that what we need to be able to do is like, I know time is precious, but it's okay to waste some of it if that's what waste is. Yeah. If play is waste, we have to figure out how to waste some time, because if you're 9 years old and you're really love doing something and somebody says that's it's not for you.
My cousin Johnny calls that inefficient.
Yeah, it's inefficient.
It's okay,
you're not going to do it for a living. That means you're going to be an adult that has a really, really hard time thinking that you can just play. That you can just do something that doesn't have to translate into profit and efficiency, that doesn't have to translate into improvement and productivity, that you have to be able to play, you have to be able to get into your imagination, and you'll find kind of these fun and healing stories in the imagination. And so hopefully somebody needed to hear that.
Amen, brother.